submitted your assignments to me, and as far as possible I have sent the acknowledgement to many of you. If you have not submitted yet, please submit it at the earliest, because this will be counted for your exam, half yearly exam. Okay, so we will start with today's class.
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am, how can we submit the assignment?
you have to submit the assignment in the form of a PDF file. How you'll do it? You will first do it on your file, right? After doing it on your file, you have to take, you can do one thing on your mobile phone. You can install an app known as Adobe Scan. So you can download that app, install it, and use that app to to scan every page. Okay, just it will click a photo of your page and it will scan it, and at the end of all the pages which you have scanned, you can create a PDF very easily. It's a very easy to use app. So you have to create a PDF of that, and that you have to send me on my personal desk in WhatsApp.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so students, we are doing data handling, and in data handling, we had started with mutability, and we were discussing mutability and immutability. So I have already, I think I have discussed up to where did I discuss that day? Anybody, does anyone remember? We were discussing about immutability. I think, uh, did we, I think we had already discussed int and float. Int and float we had discussed already. Complex numbers also we had discussed. That's what I remember. What about strings? This also I think I had completed. Tell me, those who had attended the class in the last online class. So we'll do one thing. Strings I had already explained as far as I remember. Okay, I had already explained this. So today I will tell you about tuples, how tuples are stored. Now, firstly, tuples are, first thing, they are ordered collection. It comes under collections, and it comes under sequences, and it is immutable. Please note it down. Tuples are an ordered collection of items of different types, identical or different types. That is, you can make use of tuples to store items or elements of the same type or of different types. They come under the category sequences. They are collection of items. They have ordered, they are an ordered collection. That is, every element will be indexed. It can be accessed using an index or a subscript. It is immutable. That is, you cannot make in place changes or assignments of individual items, and it can contain items of either the same type or of different types. For example, so you can see this is a small tuple. Sorry, I have used the wrong uh, delimiters here. It will be round brackets. So you can see this is a tuple fruits which contains identical elements. Not that they all are fruits, but because they all are strings. So it is a tuple consisting of individual string objects. Next I write here numbers. So this is again a tuple consisting of identical elements and it is numbers. Now I write something I have written one student record. So here you can see we have string values also, that is name, subjects, class, section. We have integer values also, we have float values also. So this is what it consists of different types, that is mixed types. So tuples can contain either identical elements or elements of different types. It's up to you. You can create a tuple on anything which represents a collection. Okay, you can represent an employee record, you can represent a student record, you can create a collection of all even numbers, you can create a collection of all odd numbers, you can create a collection of all colors. Okay, so this way what you, if you are creating a game and you want to set the difficulty level like very easy, easy, difficult, tough, insane, something like that, so you can again create a tuple representing those values, right? So tuple is what? It is an ordered collection of elements of identical or different types, and tuples are immutable. So let us see how in the memory tuples are represented. So if I just take the case of a small tuple, that is maybe student, and I'll be taking small values, right? So PCM is the stream, 11th is the class, A is the section, and he got 85% in the 85.5% in the exams. So in the memory, you will be having something like this, that is an array. This is an array and it will store these values in adjacent memory locations. And student is the identifier or label which points to this tuple. So all the elements will be indexed. Is it clear? So this is how tuples are stored in the memory. Is it clear? Now over here, if I want to change any value, like I write student 1. When I say student 1, it refers to which element? Can anyone tell me? Student 1 refers to which element?
PCM.
PCM. Very good.
PCM.
So yes, it refers to PCM. I want to change it to PCB. Can I do this? No. Answer is no. Individual item assignment is not allowed. It is absolutely not allowed in tuples. Why? Because tuple is it is an immutable data type, and as you can see in the memory, this part is fixed. Okay, and all the elements are already assigned to it. If you want to change the value, then you will have to altogether create a different statement. You have to create a new tuple consisting of all the changed values. Of course, with programming, you can do that easily, but here I'm telling you what actually happens. So what will happen in this case? This association will be broken, just like it happened in integers, and this student will start pointing to this memory area. Now I'm not, okay, wait, you will get confused in this also. So what I'm doing is I'm going to create this again over here. So a new tuple object will be created in the memory. This thing is your tuple object. So a new tuple object will be created in the memory consisting of all these values. The new value, that is PCB 11th, A 85.5, and this student label will be pointing to this object. So what happens? This area, this tuple object, it becomes unnamed and it becomes invalid. That is, this area can be used or replaced by some other value. Okay. So that is, I can, if I now create any other variable, it is quite possible that wherever this tuple is stored, this area can be reused as per, it can be reused by some other value. Python automatically keep on collecting and freeing the memory areas which are unused, okay, or rendered invalid. This is known as garbage collection. This tuple object, it becomes useless, it becomes garbage. So what will Python do? It will take this object, release the memory area which has been occupied by all these values, and this area, now it can be utilized to store any other value by some other program or the same program, it depends. So we don't have to worry about what it is, we only have to worry about how it is immutable. So you can see that here it is all together now pointing to a different memory location. So reassignment, if you really want to change any value, you have to reassign the value of tuple. Tuple को दोबारा से पूरी तरह assign करना पड़ेगा, and that will make this label point to the new memory location. आपको फिर कोई data change करना है, if you want to change class, if you want to change the percentage, you can make changes, but again you'll have to write an assignment statement like this, consisting of all the previous, all the unchanged values and the changed values also, such that again in the memory somewhere a new tuple object will be created and this student would be pointing to that. Understood? This is how tuples are represented in the memory. Now we have covered the immutable types. Let us now see how mutable data types are stored. So let us take the very first mutable data type, that is list. Again, some characteristics of list: it is a collection. It also belongs to sequences. It is an ordered collection, that is, every item is indexed. It is referred by an ordinal number, that is index. Okay, 1 second. And it is mutable. And it can also store identical or different data. Everything is same like tuples except this point. That is, it is mutable. That is, item assignment, individual item assignment is allowed here. It is allowed. Got it? Let's see how lists can be stored in memory. So we have a list over here, that is, let me take colors. Lists are included within square brackets and tuples are included within round brackets. So lists will contain, say I just specify, this is a list of colors which I am creating over here. and so on. Okay, so this is a list of colors, again identical elements. I want to create a list of product details. So this is, it contains data or items of different types. There is integers also, there is strings also, and if you, it depends upon the data value. You can have a rating also. I can add a rating, that is customer review or customer rating of 4.5. So this again becomes what? Float, right? So we can create lists again in the same way as we create tuples. It can be used to store identical values or different values depending upon the requirement of the question. And the thing is, individual item assignment is allowed now. If I write product 0, this is 0, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I write now, suppose the product rating has increased. So I write product 4 equals 5.0. This is allowed, very much allowed. What will happen? This value will be replaced. It will become 5.0. Now, how does this happen? Let's see the memory map. I take a small list over here, and the name of list is numbers. Okay. So this is a small list of numbers, that is identical elements. I'll show you with unidentical elements also. So in the memory, a list object will be created. How many elements do you see here? How many elements do you see in this list?
5.
5 elements. So 5 pointers will be created in the list object. Okay, right now they are represented by dots and arrows. This represents that they are what? Pointers. Pointers are memory locations which contain addresses of other memory locations. Okay, so these are what? These are places which contain the address of other memory locations. So we have 5 pointers, means we have 5 special type of data items which are actually placeholders for memory addresses. So now these pointers will be pointing to other memory locations. Hence this is a list object, and numbers is the label which points to this area. Now the first one is pointing to an integer 10, second one is pointing to 20, third one is pointing to 30. Now, because pointers are used here, I can make in-place item assignment by simply making the pointer point to something else. If I write here numbers, numbers 3 equals. Now, when I say numbers 3, it refers to which item?
30.
Wrong answer. Think carefully. The index starts from 0.
40.
40. Okay. 3 means position 4. 3 is the index, 0, 1, 2, 3. So the position is what? 4. So it is 40. I want to make it 60. This is allowed. What will happen? Somewhere in the memory 60 might be stored. And I'm trying to change this pointer. So this pointer will now start pointing to 60, and this association will be broken. So now this 40 is not pointed, rather this pointer is now pointing to 60. Same way, if I take a product list, that will also be stored in this way. Suppose the first pointer is pointing to the name of the product. This is what? A string object, right? Again a string object. Again a string object. Integer object. Float object. And this whole is your list object. So you can see different pointers are here. Each of these pointers is pointing to objects of different types. These three are string, this is integer, this is float. And product, this label product is pointing to this list object. If I write now product 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is product 4 equals 5.0. So what will happen somewhere in the memory? I might be having 5.0. So this association will be broken. And this pointer will now point to 5.0. Is this clear to everyone how lists are immutable? Why they are immutable? Any doubts in this? Is this clear to everyone? Faint one voice, and that too very faint. I hope you people are listening. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is, please do watch the recording once again. Okay, if you don't understand something, you can always watch the recording and you can also ask me. So this is how lists are. Sorry, I just wrote something very wrong. They are not immutable. They are in fact mutable. This is how lists are mutable. That is because every individual element within the lists are actually pointers. Location storing, you can just write in your copy data values, or you can write memory locations containing address of other memory locations. Please write this in your copy. Memory locations containing address of other memory locations. Because pointers are there, hence we can just make the pointer point to some other object. Remember that these objects, string, integer, float, these objects are immutable. Okay. What I am doing, they are not changing the place. What I am doing is just making this pointer point to them. Understood? I'm just like a particular variable was pointing to 50 and now it is pointing to 51. Same way here I am making this pointer point to some other value. Original value will not change its place. It's still there. Only thing I am making this pointer point to some other value in the memory. So this is how lists are mutable objects and they are stored in the memory in the form of pointers. Next, we will see dictionary. Certain concepts about dictionary. Firstly, they are mutable. That is, in place assignment is allowed. Or in place and individual item assignment is allowed. It is allowed. Next is they are unordered. Unordered collections. They can also store items of identical or different types. You can note these points in your copy, students. Okay, this is all about dictionaries in bullet points, right? They are mutable, they are unordered, and they can store items of identical or different types, and they store everything in the form of key value pair. right? So, and they fall under the category mapping. Not sequences anymore, they form a different category, that is mapping. Please note down these few points in your copy, students. They are mutable, in place, individual item assignment is allowed, unordered collection, that is there is no order between the elements. If it's not necessary that the order in which you had entered the elements, they would be displayed in the same order. Okay, identical or different type of data can be stored. It can be used to store the same type of data, or it can be used to store different type of data. Data is stored in the form of key value pairs, and they fall under the category of mapping. Now, let's see how dictionaries can be created. Students, right now I'm just teaching you the theory, the basics of it, okay? So we can suppose everybody knows what a telephone directory is, right? It contains names of people with their phone numbers and contact details like address, email, website, if any. So I'm going to create a simple dictionary named directory, which will contain key value pairs of this form: name of a person and the phone number. Okay, so I'm just going to write it. So you can see 4 people and their phone numbers. In what way? This is the key, name is the key, and 789, the number is the value. In between, they are separated with a colon. This mark is a colon. You will get it on your keyboard. You have to, just beside L, just beside the key L on your keyboard, you have a key like this, which contains semicolon here and colon here. So in order to print colon, you have to press the shift key. Keep the shift key pressed and then press this key, you will get the colon typed. Okay, you can type colon. So I will just show it to you practically on Python idle. So this is my Python idle here. I'm going to create a dictionary named directory, and you can see that dictionary is always enclosed within curly braces. So I have just created a telephone directory consisting of 4 people and their phone numbers. And you can see that each of these values is separated by a colon. So I'm going to bring it here and paste it. Yes, so take a look over here. So we have this as the key and this number as the value. Same way here we have key, we have value. This is the key, this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. If you want to access the individual values out of that, then you have to write directory dot values. All the dictionary values you will be getting, that is the phone numbers. And if you write directory dot keys, so you will get a list of all the keys. You cannot change the key. Okay, you can only. Now that changing keys and everything we will study in detail in the dictionary chapter, right? Right now we are only going to concentrate on the fact that how it is a mutable data type. So over here, suppose S. Valen has relocated to some other location. Maybe he was staying in Tamil Nadu and he has shifted to Bangalore for some business reasons, and hence he has purchased a new SIM card, because of which there is a change in his phone number. So how I can change this value over here? I will write the name of the dictionary directory, and I will write the key exactly in the way in which it is already typed over here, as you can see. Okay, within double quotes. Why? Because this is a string value. You can see that here all the keys are strings, whereas all the values are integer values. Understood? So I'm going to follow the rules for strings in typing the key. Now I want to change his phone number to something else. Yes, I can do that. Now if I want to print it, so I'm going to type print directory. Now you can see over here, Amit Raj S. Velan, yes, his phone number has changed over here. So that means it is what? It is a mutable data type. Internally, how are they stored? So let's take a look at that. Internally, there is a large array. We can say array is a collection of contiguous memory locations which are indexed. Normally, arrays are data structures which were used in C, C++, Java, etc. But in Python uses it for its internal purpose. And we can also create our own arrays using the NumPy library, Python library, although it's not there in your course this year. But if we are able to finish a significant portion, we will definitely cover that. So something like this is there, and internally dictionaries are stored in the form of hash tables, in which they use a small hash function to auto generate a key. What is that key? It is some unique value, right? Like for example, I can say it could be something like 412546. Some internal number is generated for that. Okay. And along with this, the data is stored. So suppose I have Amit Raj over here. This is the key and its value 123 is stored here. Suppose I have the second value, that is S. Velan, somewhere here. I might have the other one, that is Shikha Rajput, somewhere here. Now all these values, I'm not writing this hash number, but all these values will have this key over here. 789. Okay, and the last one, Seema Bhargav, should be somewhere over here. 786. Now what we did was we had changed the value of S. Velan. So somewhere in the memory again it would be created with the new value, that is 84567. Now what happens? If I want to access Amit Raj, I'm providing the key. So this will internally map onto this hash function, that is this key, and it will get the value of Amit Raj from here, right? Next is S. Velan. Previously, S. Velan's record was this. Of course, because this is a number that is integer, and integers are what? Immutable. They cannot change their value in place. So what happens is, here the key which was there, suppose some other key is used over here, this key, creates a link to this memory area, and that should have some other value, right? So this key creates a link to this memory area. So anybody who wants to refer to sphalen will first be internally, Python will first refer to this location. Then from here it will find a link to some other memory location. So it will go to that memory location and it will gain its key, its value from there. So this is how, now you don't need to, this is quite complicated method, students. Just for your knowledge, I explained. You will not be asked this in the exam, okay? What you have to do is you should just know that internally how dictionaries are stored and why they become mutable data types, right? So this is how dictionaries are stored in the memory. So very soon I will be uploading a video on mutable and immutable data types. So please watch that video fully and you will understand how these data types are stored in the memory. And finally, we have sets also. Sets are also your mutable data types. I have explained in detail about sets in my offline video. So here I am not going to take it up because you don't have any separate chapter on sets. Okay, it is not even mentioned in your textbook, right? So because I thought that it's a part of your data type hierarchy, so that's why I have explained this in the offline class. Please do watch that offline lecture to understand about sets. I will just tell you the basics. It is a mutable data type. It forms under sequences. It falls under sequences range of data types of Python, and it is also a collection. And here it can be a collection of similar data types, that is identical or different data. And there are no duplicates in sets. It's totally based on the set theory, which you are, I think, learning now in mathematics. Okay, it is a very first chapter of mathematics. I think all the math students, you might have started with set theory, if I'm not wrong. So it is completely based on the set theory, right? And there are sets are also mutable. So I have explained in detail about sets in my online lecture. Please go on and watch that. Now, certain things I would like to, I'm going to open the book right now because I want to tell you which all parts we have already covered in Python fundamentals chapter. So this is data handling chapter. So data types, numbers, you can see this, integers, booleans, floating point, we have already covered. So what I want you people to do is to read through all these, right? Please read through this. I will give you the notes, but you should also learn how to make your own notes. Okay, in case the teacher, because already we are involved in so many things, of course we will give you the note, but you should also, you know, notes are effective only when you prepare them yourselves. Okay, you have, if you have your textbook, you can just create, you can prepare your own notes. That way you will learn better, right? Floating point numbers, fractional form, exponential form, we had already covered this in detail. Complex numbers we have to study. Talking about complex numbers, certain things I would like to tell you, that complex numbers are formed out of floating point numbers. Each of the coefficients which you see, the real part and the imaginary part, they are floating point values. Okay, it contains two parts. One is a real part and one is an imaginary part. Right? Real part will be represented by A and imaginary part would be represented by Bj, where J represents iota. And what is iota? Under root of -1. Any number which is of this type, that is under root -1 or under root of a negative number, that is an imaginary number. That is an unreal number. Why complex numbers? See, normally we have what? Real numbers. Hence, all the equations or number systems or everything which we do to find out, all the methods for finding solutions are there which apply on real numbers. So there had to be some category of numbers which contained real numbers also and imaginary numbers also, so that they could be solved by their own method. Hence, complex numbers were created, right? Now, in electrical engineering, complex numbers are used for representing electrical voltages. Okay, they are used for measuring current. Now, how they do it, that is a different thing. You need to study electronics engineering if you want to understand that. So there they refer to iota as J. Hence, the same convention has been used by Python over here. And here complex numbers are represented in this form, A plus Bj. Understood? And each of these values, A and B, they are floating point values. Even if you are writing 4 plus 5.2j, so it will be internally stored as 4.0 plus 5.2j, where 4.0 is a float, 5.2 is a float. Clear? Now, how to create complex numbers. So let us move on to our Python idle and check for ourselves. So let us create a complex number comp1, right? And I'm going to give some value to it, 4. Oh, sorry. Okay. Let me just change it, 4 plus 5.2j. Now, if I print this, it is printed in the form of a bracket. So remember always, if I have a non-zero real part, that is the real part is not equal to 0, a non-zero real part, then your complex number, when it is printed, it will be printed within a pair of round brackets, that is printed within parentheses. But if I have a complex number with 0 in the real part, that is I only have 6j, and if I print this, so 6j will be printed without being enclosed within brackets. Why enclosed within brackets? So that it is clear to us that we are referring to one data item which is of complex data type, okay, and not different values or not separate values. 4 plus 5.2j should be considered as a unit. It will always go together, right? If I have to add two complex numbers, suppose here I have comp1 which is equal to 4 plus 5.2j, and I have comp2 which is equal to 3.2 plus 6j. How will they be added? If I add them, real parts will be added together and unreal parts will be added together. That is, it will be 4 plus 3 plus 5.2 plus 6j. This is how they would be added. So 7 plus 11.2j, this will be the answer. You can see, check it for yourself over here. If I write comp1 plus comp2, so we get the answer because comp1 was what? 4 plus 5.2j. And comp2 was only 6j. So 4 plus 0, 0 in the real part here. So 4 plus 0 will give you 4 and 5.2 plus 6 will give you 11.2j. Is this clear to everyone? That's all in complex numbers, and you don't have many questions related to complex numbers also. Yes, and in complex numbers, you can also extract the real and imaginary part using this comp1.real. This will give you the real part of complex number comp1. And if I write comp1.imag, This will give you the imaginary part of comp1. Each of these values is a floating point numbers. Is this clear to everyone?
Ma'am, attendance.
Okay, yes, sorry. Now other things, strings we already know. You already have studied about strings. They are a sequence, they are immutable, that is in place. Item assignment is not allowed. All these assignments which you see here, they are not allowed in case of strings. Hence what you need to do is you have to if you want to change any part of the string, you have to altogether reassign it into a new string. Okay, so few things are left which we will complete in this week itself, right? And most of the things you have already studied, so start doing your revisions also. Okay, and I will be giving you the second installment of Python assignment, where you will further understand. See, the more assignments you solve, the more your concepts will become clear. Okay, so second part I'm going to give you, which you have to solve. So thank you everyone. I'm stopping the recording here.